Okay, cool. So I thought I'd just quickly jump on and do this video. Supposed to be on the WIP 12 YouTube, but we're having difficulties getting me access still to post videos there, so we'll put it on after. So, Corvus Belli was nice enough to send us a copy of the Next Wave bundle, and like so many other content creators, I'm going to be putting out, and we'll be putting out some videos and obviously a new podcast episode in the coming weeks. But you know, I was excited that it finally came, and I just wanted to figured I might as well, if I'm going to open it, might as well open it and let you guys see with me. So let's do that. The nice fun part of putting up in a box. There we go. Just take it out. Move that away. Okay, so what do we have? So first we have the Next Wave Action Pack, which is the big box with the Raptor bot and his friends, because Raptor Boy is obviously, at least for me, the most exciting part of that box. Then we have the Juggernaut tag, another cool beastie, and finally the Glyph Warcore, so the Combined Army Warcore. So we'll go through, look at what we have in the different boxes, and maybe talk a little initial impressions of some of the profiles that I'll have pop up as we find those models. So let's start with the action pack. I do appreciate that the action pack box has gotten smaller than it used to be. Just a lot more compressed. Okay, cool. So I'm seeing some Unicool in there, which is nice. So first we have our bases. It's not particularly exciting, but let's look at the models, see what we got. So first off, right on top, let's see if I can zoom in a bit. We've got what looks to be the robot. What is this called? This is called the Steel Jaw, the Tech Draken. So it looks like this is the blue Unicool plastic that is honestly so nice to work with. I've been mainly dealing with it with some of my uh, Warcore models, but it's very clean. See the details all seem super crisp on it. Uh, that's the lower jaw. Here's the blade head. It cut that pin, and that looks like with minimal cleaning that'll go in. We've got one leg. Oh, that's wrong side. That's got the gun. The other pieces just sliding in nicely. The little baby raptor arms. So yeah, this is the Unicool. For anyone who hasn't worked with it, honestly, it's super nice to work with. Uh, there's a couple pieces of flash or the extra bits, but clips very nicely. And unlike the CO cast, you can really just take a nice little bit of a sander or something like a file, and it just comes off super nice. Any extra little bit, say minimal mold lines there. So looking at the profile, these guys they're weird. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what they are. They're very much I'd say warband-esque without having the impetuous. So they are, I'd say, pretty survivable. Oh, there we go. Infinite Gamer. Yeah, that's the Tech Draken. It's we're talking about how Unicool is so nice to work with. Like it's very crisp and clean. So I'm excited to use this profile. One, because the model's awesome. Two, because it seems like it's just going to be an annoying roadblock. It should stay alive a bit longer, and then you can just throw it in. Mines and grenades can be really annoying. Uh, it's decent enough at CC that non-CC guys are going to not like it. Um, I don't know how much the techno-organic's going to actually come up. For those that don't know, we've been told it's essentially you can be healed by a doctor or an engineer, which is weird with the Doctor Worm in the faction, but if you're only bringing one or the other, it could be nice. And sometimes one is in the position that you need. We don't know yet if that's going to work for med packs or med kits and gizmo kits, but we'll find out. I expect in a fairly soon. I will say a PS4 viral CCW that's AP just sounds like it's going to cause a lot of issues. So let's see, who do we have next? Looking at this one, I'm seeing bouncing off a piece of rock. This is definitely the jump troop for the faction, which is the cliff jumper. Just flip to that. Cool. So personally, I'm a pretty big fan. Yeah, I'd say again, this is pretty nice looking, like it's going to go together really well. I'm going to do another video of them assembled, but I'm not seeing a lot of mold lines. The nice big chunky bits look like they'll fit together pretty well. Which, for anyone that maybe came to Infinity a while back and then left because they weren't finding it nice, to work with. The modern Infinity Metal is just so much nicer. Things just go together. Anyone that was around in the old days of the pins holes that were almost non-existent. But let's see, just clipping that. Yeah, might take a little bit of sanding just because there's a bit of a spur from where I cut it, but comes together nicely. I like, in classic drop troop fashion, there's the big drop troop fins, but these new alien ones, I don't think there's any other aliens that have ones that look exactly like this, but I like they're a bit chunkier. They're not gonna fall off like old my old Pano ones where it's a small little dot that holds it on and you touch it and it falls off. So that should be nice. Just quickly talking about the profile. This is exactly what I like in a drop troop, which is they are cheap, being 21 to 23 points, dropping on 13s because they have that nice combat jump for 13, and honestly, their other skills are just really good for fighting, being plus burst, mimetism. These are the types of drop troops I like, where you can just kind of throw them into the enemy's backline and just watch them just kill a few things. They're gonna die probably, but if you can trade and disrupt your opponent, you kill a couple important things and then they need to spend time sending troops back to deal with it. That's just all plus for me. Oh yeah, Raymond. Raymond, that is definitely those old Pano ears, all the old Rems. I'm very glad they moved towards more square shapes than just like the circular pins to push them in. Okay, so this looks the next thing. It looks like a harbinger, so I'm just gonna grab all the harbingers. Let's see, what are you? You look like a harbinger, and you look like a harbinger. Check the box art. Yeah, because that's not. Yeah, it's not Pandora. Cool. So next we're going to look at the three harbingers. Let me just quickly flip off the cliff jumper, put on the harbinger. I haven't actually dealt with many nomads. It's one of the few factions I haven't gotten into. Are you're saying the nomad feet are fiddly? Is that for all of them or just the female models? I find sometimes the female models, because they make them smaller, their tiny little legs can make attaching to the base a lot harder than the usually chunky boots of the dudes. Okay, so in the box we get our three harbingers. From what I can tell, they all seem to be just equipped with combi rifles. Yeah, that looks like the Shazvasti combi rifle. So, for those that are not been paying attention to all the stuff coming out, these are your line troops for the faction. Um, they do have the combined army, I'd say line infantry attacks, where they always throw in some extra skills to make them more expensive. But otherwise, these guys pretty bare bones stat wise. Dodge plus 3 is nice. Like, it means that you might actually dodge a template. I don't know about you, but my line infantry in most factions just see a template, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm dead. So that's good. They have a couple really cool profiles. I am kind of sad that they didn't do what they did with Starmada, where in the action pack they had, you had a SMG hacker, you had some of the different, I guess, weird different profiles. These are all combi rifles, and looking at the uh, the chart, I think I don't see myself ever bringing any of the actual combi rifle profiles, but it's Infinity. We proxy. That's what it is. So we got this guy with a bit of a almost bowl cut, but it's undercut underneath. There's his backpack. Don't get them separated. Yeah, they're all going for this like undercut hairstyle. They also have all these little lines on their faces to show that I guess they're working with aliens. That's how we distinguish. Uh, and here's the female one that has the non-gun aiming pose. Her gun's kind of she's shouldering her one gun and pointing with we got the nice got the nice pointy finger. So that's something. Um, I really think based on what we've seen from the fire team's chart, no, there isn't an FO or a hacker in the box. All of them have combi rifles, and the only technically it's all because they're all combi rifles. That means you're either a paramedic, a lieutenant, or a basic guy, or the special operative. Um, yeah, Juggernaut does have NCO, so you could do the lieutenant. I don't. You could. I just don't know. I don't know. Once we get the full chart, I think we can see how the points work. I've never been a big fan of the line infantry lieutenant that sits at the back, even if it is powering an NCO. Um, these guys are really cool though. Like I really like that AP marksman profile. Just as like a cheap, we've seen that these guys can duo, which is uncommon for line infantry. Um, and I could see a cheap duo of like the AP marksman with the BS attack -3, and then like a FO, the Wild Parrot, SMG, and stuff like that. Cheap little duo that it's not the first wave of attack, but you send it out once some of the bigger, scarier guys have been dealt with. I think it could do some good work. Yeah, my initial thought when I first saw them was to compare them to the Shaz. They're very similar in that I believe Shaz are the ones that all have zappers, right? Um, which if you're gonna have a non-lethal template weapon on your line infantry, zapper is the way to go. Zappers are fantastic. Um, just being able to turn like essentially means you can't push a big HI group or a tag up into your line troops. Otherwise, like I'll trade a 13, 14 point guy to just immobilize and isolate your big scary guy. It's it, it it's they're very good at it doesn't kill them, but trading away or stopping those attack runs. Uh, unless you're playing against Morats, in which case then you're pretty much well, I guess you can still mobilize, but you're not doing anywhere near as much as you'd like. You don't get the isolated as well. Yes, zappers. Yeah, okay, yeah. Nox did have zappers on almost all their profiles. I do find it, which is the same here. The big guns don't get it. I don't see myself ever bringing the HMG or missile launcher. Maybe in um, the old days of super powered links, maybe. But I think here your AP marksman's your attacker. The hacker is interesting because you get the combat instincts. So that means you have a relatively cheap combat instincts hacker. Vulcan shotguns aren't anything to laugh at if someone starts going into your DZ. And the mine layer EM is always nice. I'm a Shock Army fan. I like having mines in my deployment. I play enough Starmada to know EM mines in deployment are always handy. So I think they're cool. I think it's good. The FO, Wild Parrots are always nice. You get a nice, I guess, spread of kit. I'm glad that the SMG has AP. It makes it slightly better, but these guys aren't really your fighters. These guys are more, you know, I think they're like backup fighters or, the hacker to break the stealth or, points fillers if you've run out of all your cheaper stuff. But, as line infantry goes, I put them above Shaz. They're like the same cost as Shaz. I think I'd take these guys over Shaz the Nox most of the days. So they're pretty decent. Not bad. Okay, who do we have next? Sorry, I keep on adjusting the focus depending on where I'm holding it. Let us see. This guy seems big and chunky, so I'm thinking, yeah, this looks like it is the iron side. So this is their, I'd say beefy HI. It is a 3-arm HI. So like a Zuyong arm, it does have BTS 6, which is nice. It's definitely more survivable in that regard. So let's see. Oh yeah, these are all really clean. I don't know. I don't know if it's just this. They just did a good job with this run, or maybe I just haven't been building Infinity for a little bit. But this seems like it's even without pre-cleaning, it seems to be going together nicely. Now, here's the real moment of truth. Does the gun? It's always the moment of truth. The guys with a gun being held into arms that are separate pieces. Do they line up nicely? Yeah, pretty nicely. There we go. Let me see. Uh, yeah. Can you see? Oh no, hold it in front of the camera helps. Yeah, it actually goes together nicely. I have so many. I remember assembling the Wolvers back in the day, and it was just a game of bending. I think some of my Wolvers, they essentially ended up getting gap filled the hands by just the amounts of super glue of me trying to put them together. So this guy looks like he's going together nicely. He's got a nice chunky backpack. I'll need to double check that I'm putting it the right way, but I think it's like that. And there's his head. When I first looked at these guys, when they first showed the art, I was thinking that they were Morats almost, like how they're kind of the chunkiness of their armor, and even because their faces are covered. I don't know. I thought they were like, oh, is this a Morat? But I'm pretty sure. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure they are humans. I'm pretty sure, for the most part, everyone in the faction is a human or a good boy, clever girl, uh, or for the most part. Quickly talking about the Ironsides themselves. Oh yeah, Raymond, you're right. For going back on the Harbingers, the zero SWC mine layer is always nice. Again, anyone that plays Shock Army, they're back. Uh, Knows how much those mine layers just incidental mine layering is always nice, and there's a bit of that from what we've seen so far in this faction, so that is always good. But the iron side, so these are your HI. They're 6'2", which is always nice. It's much more the standard than it used to be, but it's always still nice to see. BS13, so nothing particularly special for the HI. Low fizz. Um, so they're gonna, if you're going up against the other, with next wave going to be everywhere probably, you're going up against someone else's harbingers and their zappers will get you. But other than that, ARM 3, BTS 6, again, all pretty standard. The BS attack -3 and the albedo is where I think these guys kind of get their character, right? So that's two of the three skills to affect your opponent's mods, so Viz mods. These guys will be good at dealing with those MSV2 models. So going up against an MSV2 model, you might be applying a -6 to them, and that's not usually what they want. So it's gonna be that nice pick and choose. You do have some mimetism from what we've seen already in this faction. So as always, trying to pick your fight. Combat instincts, getting around the stealth is always good. Techno organic, we already discussed with the Steeljaw, the I just want to call him Dinobot, Tech Dragon. Sorry. So again, these guys, from what we know, they're going to be able to be healed with uh, med or engineering. So I guess again, it will come down. We need to see how it's actually worded when they get released properly. It'll be interesting to see, one, will med kits work? Will gizmo kits work? Also, um, how speedballs work. Sometimes you might call down a speed. You have one guy to heal, and you call down. You're like, okay, I'm going to use the healing wounds speedball, and then you roll up the engineering speed wall for the other one. So will these guys be able to be healed by either? In which case, those that means there's a higher chance of rolling a useful recovery speedball. So that could be interesting, but again, we need to wait to see what we got. So profile wise, the model in the box is the APHMG, which, as a person that started with Ariadna, I always love to see my APHMGs. Um, As I said, these guys have some good gunfighting stats, especially for picking off mimetism guys. So that's always good. BS Agmaster also just works against most things. So APHMG on a decent gun platform is always nice. Having a up damaged light flamethrower, again, it's pretty good. But looking at some of the other profiles that they have two disco baller profiles, including a LT profile, which is multi-rifle light flamethrower disco ball. Um, and I think I forgot to mention they all are attack aware, which is great because more orders is always better. So who doesn't love having more free orders, especially as I was saying with these disco baller profiles. Those are free tack. You don't even need to use the regular. You can use the tackware to shoot out some disco balls, BS13 disco balls. So you're gonna be able to put them down pretty accurately. If you did want to run your lieutenant, the lieutenant's gonna be able to again have another order to reload off of your cheap combined baggage bots or throw out more disco balls. So that profile is pretty interesting. Um, they have a killer hacker with an emitter and SMG. Emitters are kind of nice backups in case you need to deal with an enemy tag that's heads up and you don't have a better gun to put it down. But 34 points is kind of getting expensive if you're using it as a hacker. There is a fact, you could be considering bringing a duo of these guys, in which case, it's pretty expensive to bring, say, the HPHMG and the hacker, but it's not necessarily the worst thing that you could do. So I think they're pretty good. I think in terms of the HI, they're on the pricier side of basic HI, and that might be hard to fit into this faction that has Team Achilles and uh, the good boy Juggernaut that we'll see in a little bit. But I definitely think we'll be seeing these guys pop around, especially as you see locally. At least I'm seeing a lot of not mimetism, a lot of MSV to deal with people bringing mimetism. So that albedo will come in handy. Okay, we're almost done the main box. We've got 1 second. I think I moved some models aside because there were guys I moved out of the way. Yes. I was
Okay, can you hear me? Looks like my headphones died, which I'll need to look into that, but it looks like the audio's going. So I'll try to speak clearer because the mic on my computer is probably not as good. What I was saying was I had pushed aside the Dead Space models, as people have been calling them. So this is the, not Harbingers, these are the Rain Dancers. There we go. Cool. So you get two of them in the box. There's one that I believe is armed with a light shotgun, and one that is armed with what looks like the Red Fury. So let's pop them out of their packs. I really like the light shotgun model. I'll show you why in a second. Let me see. Are you? Yes. Okay, so that's there. So closer to the camera. So if you haven't seen these yet, and you're a fan of the Dead Space series, the masks very much look like the mask from the main character in Dead Space, which, yeah, I kind of like. I'm sure we'll be seeing some cool blue glow coming out from under them. So this is the light shotgun one. I believe this arm is supposed to be the chain rifle. This is a smaller peg pointing the thing, and then it has one of the cooler swords I've seen. And the reason I like this sword is I believe what it's supposed to be. I believe it's supposed to be that the gun, like the light shotgun, is built into the sword, which I'm a sucker of combination melee weapons guns, so light shotgun built into sword is definitely a win for me. So that's the first Harbinger. I think this is the one that's the profiles that you'll be, well, at least one of the profiles you'll be bringing more. And the second one, right here, oh, a little piece of metal popping off. So one of his legs is separate. This is the one he's doing a bit of a Captain Morgan thing going on here. Although it's not actually, he's not putting it up on a box. And again, the exact same Dead Space helmet. This one has what I remember from my Shaz days is a Red Fury. So these guys are weird. So the thing that makes them weird is that they're irregular. Otherwise, you look at their profile and you'd expect these guys to just be like a Jaith style regular gunfighter melee combo guy. But they're not. They are irregular. So what that does is makes them a bit cheaper. But they don't have the normal, frenzy or impetuous discounts. So that means that when you are looking at their profile and you see the MIM 6, that means they're getting MIM 6 and they're benefiting from cover. So while they're pretty solid at melee, because they have that CC23 and that benchmark martial arts level 3, then they also can still shoot pretty well. BS12, but again, MIM 6, if you don't have that MSV, you're pretty good. They're also dodging on 15s from dodge plus 3. They're dodging 4 inches, so they're kind of like this nice, decent gunfighter, good melee troop that's probably going to be pretty annoying to deal with. Think Cenobites back when they could actually still get cover. Now they're only 1 wound, but still. So they have a couple really interesting profiles. There's a forward deploying profile that can't join fire teams, which unless we have fire team master make them regular, definitely worth considering because irregulars and fire teams can be a bit rough. And then there are 4 fire team options. So the ones that I'm going to quickly point out because I'm most interested in. One, so there's the Red Fury you get in the box. If you really want a high burst gun with it's not bad for 24 points in 1 SWC. But I think the bigger gunfight, the gunfight one you're going to want if you're planning to shoot a bit longer, instead of the Red Fury, take the hit to a burst and take the +1 burst BS attack model with Contender. So now you have a burst 3 Contender, which is just nasty for all those Ariadne players that love bringing their T2 rifles and things like that. Contenders like that, but I believe up to 24, which is again just better. There's a thing with even in ARO, even HI doesn't want to risk fighting T2 because all it takes is that 1 save and you lose both your wounds. And they're MIM 6, so unless you're MSV2, you're probably going to have a hard time, and their odds might be better than yours. So it's definitely a nice weapon to have. And then you also have the cheap light shotgun +1 burst with light shotgun chain rifle. So burst 3 light shotguns, these are good little like close in brawl up, and then if the moment strikes, maybe switching into melee and blasting them. Yeah, for what this unit is bringing, they actually are quite cheap. That irregular is going a long way. If they do get, so we'll see Pandora's profile probably next-ish. She is fire team master for a different group, but if we do see some fire team masters in this faction, like for example these guys or the Steeljaws, can really change things. But we don't have that yet. And yeah, Contender's up to 24. So 8 to 24 is that guy's just blasting away with a contender switches to breaker and close if it's not just going to chain rifle or punch or throw grenades. So yeah, these guys are really cool, and the models look pretty awesome. Again, put a shotgun in my sword, and I will go for that model any day. Who do we have? We got 2 mods left in the box. We will leave Pandora for last. So now we get to move on to the Contrabandolero, I think is how you... Yeah, Contrabandoleros. So this is your skirmisher unit for the faction. The model itself, I find, is very similar to the Harbingers, which might lead to them being confused a bit. I think that the main difference is, it's hard to see on metal, but they have a little bandana, like any good bandolero has to, right? That's can't be a bandolero without it. Uh, she's in a bit of a running pose. Her gun isn't actually pointed up like that, it's just because it's still on the sprue. She is armed with a light shotgun. So if you don't want to run her as her hair is a separate piece. That's a interesting choice. Curious what was going on with the breaking down of the model that was what worked out. But she's got that nice, again, that undercut, shaved sides. You could, if you really wanted, I think, use this model as a Harbinger. If you wanted like one of the Vulcan shotgun profiles that looks pretty cool. But let's look at her for what she actually is. So this is an interesting, it's a MIM3 camo marker, camo guy that also has hidden deployment. So you're getting that MIM6, normally it's stuck to the MIM6 guys, but now you're getting it for a bit of a discount. She also gets infiltration Phys 16, which means she's over infiltrating on 13, so you still get a -3, which isn't the best, but is pretty decent. And what are you going to drop there? So these guys, like the Harbingers, all have zappers. So zapper and opponents right outside their deployment, pretty scary, especially when they can't see where it is. They also have a hacking profile. Again, sometimes hidden hackers are always nice to have, so it's definitely something worth considering. A mine layer, if you want to drop mines outside their deployment zone. Killer hacker, and then the FO. The FO is pretty interesting as a boarding shotgun if you want to just run in. You're probably, if you're looking for just like a cheap infiltrating specialist and don't want to be rolling past half, you're probably going to be going for the forward observer, would be my guess, save the points. Unless you really want that killer hacker. There is pretty decent hacking in this faction between Pandora, and we've seen that they get bit and kiss. So you can put up a decent hacking game, so if you do feel you want a killer hacker, you could put them in. But it's a pretty decent hidden forward observer. Can do a lot of classifies because it also has D charges. Unfortunately, they're only spec trained troops, so you don't get any of the elite ones. But I'd say overall, they're pretty decent. They're okay. They're an okay infiltrating specialist. I say okay. Their skills are all really good, but they are creeping up into that expensive point. And again, we have Team Achilles. We have a cool tag. This faction is going to have a lot of big expensive pieces, so you need to decide how much you want to spend on some of those mid-range ones. And it might be a compromise between, maybe I take a couple mid-range price guys, but then I'm going to need to take one less big boy. So it'll be interesting to see. We can run Team Achilles as a core, which I'm excited for. I don't think it'll be good, because it's probably going to be like nearly 2/3 of your points. But a full pure core of Team Achilles will have to hit the field at least once, because it's nasty. It's just it's a fun thing to do. And finally, we have the new Alien Pandora. Actually, one second. Let me just grab her old version that I painted up right before she decided to defect. So here's just. Oh, focus. Okay. No, too far. There, that's better. Here's the old Pandora. And And then we have new Pandora doing her legs are, you know what, her legs are kind of similarly posed. They're actually kind of mirrored of each other, which is funny. She has the exact same haircut. So she hasn't she changed sides, but she didn't decide to get a new haircut. So she has the same haircut. You're not going to be able to see on this because the metal's going to be hard, but her face has changed. Her face has gotten more angular than that's very blurry. It's more angular than her old self. She's I guess becoming, an alien spy will do that to you. Her outfit, and she has a very classic, I don't know, very bit kiss looking combined army braided coat. She's got her, I don't know what, I think it's supposed to be a viral pistol. She still has viral pistols. Oh, I should actually put out her profile. Pandora. Yeah, she still has her +1 burst viral pistols, so you got her viral pistol. And the little side fins that go on her skirt. So that's Pandora's model. Profile for anyone that used to use her in, well, I guess not even anyone that's been using her in vanilla combined, it's pretty much the same. We'll see if you're going to bring medkits. It's hard to say if you want the medkit version. Splurge the medkit version in this faction because, as you've been seeing, you had a lot of guys with like dodge +3 to then have lower fizz. So it seems like they wanted them to have lower fizz. Maybe that was intentional with the healing for medkits. They wanted to have lower fizz, but then still dodge well. It also could be part of the mysterious Corvus Belli formula that people talk about. So I don't know which it is, but the medkits probably have less value here than in combined armor, where you might be bringing some of those higher fizz Morats or things like that. So we'll see. I think the big thing is she's gained a chain of command profile. As of right now, she's the only chain of command we know of in the faction. So you do have some cool aggressive lieutenants. Achilles is a lieutenant, and the Juggernaut, who I think we'll talk about. Should we save Juggernaut for last, or let's do Juggernaut for last because he's the most exciting of the two left. You might have these aggressive LTs, so having her as a chain of command would be nice. One big thing with her is we don't know what stingers are yet. If Fireteam Master stingers, so stingers are something like Jackals and Fennec, like a cheap, irregular guy that has some Panzer cuts, thing like that, but is super cheap because they're irregular. If that's the case, then having her in a fire team with some stingers is probably going to be in most lists, just as a way to cheaply get some orders, have your chain of command safe in the back. Again, once we see stingers, I think it'll give a big insight of whether you bring her most of the time or pretty much all the time. Also, again, she's a really good hacker. Hacking defense. There's a hacker with 0 pain is always nice. Dodge -6. She just takes more to deal with. She still does not have shock immune, so watch out for shock weapons, which are less common in N5 since we've seen the SMG shock spam go away, but it's still kind of worth noting. Don't clear a mine with her. Okay, so we've now gone through the action pack. Put it away. In a later Whip 12 video, you will see them assembled and painted. And Raymond, who is in chat right now, will be chatting with me then. So we're going to next move on to the glyph. So this is the Combined Army Warcore. I guess they realized people were saying, well, why would a normal human Warcore work with the Combined Army? Which, you can headcanon it, but now they have their own Warcore. Profile-wise, as I open it, I'll talk profile pieces again. So they're essentially a war core that is 1 point more, and in return, I believe you get dodge +3. This is different. Like Shock Army is not Shock Army. Starmada is climbing plus the faction. This apparently is dodge +3 the faction. So it's a war core that actually dodges on 14. So that's cool. And not remembering some of the smaller war core things off the top of my head, I don't remember if they have a Paris ECW. If they do, then there's nothing else different. But if they don't, I guess that's something. No, they do. Yeah. So it is the exact same. It is a war core. Looking at them side by side. Yeah, it is just a war core with dodge +3. So you spend a point to get dodge +3 and to get a cool alien buddy. Hold them up. Camera. Got the cool wire tentacle face. Yeah. Not actually, I don't think they're meant to be his tentacles, but like he's got tubes. Like 2 tubes from Star Wars, but he has 4. He's 4 tubes. Now, based on the legs, and so he might supposed. I don't know the lore for him. He might be meant to be an extra. Let's see. There we go. Oh, there. It's quite tall. He actually stands pretty tall. He's taller than I thought, which is interesting. He's not ducking away like other warcores. And then he has his stun pistol and his beaten stick. Is that? Oh, okay. For a second, I thought there was a lot of flash around the tip of that stick, but no, it's meant to be like that. There's a bit of flash, but it should clean pretty easy. Yeah. Overall, like in terms of like the aesthetics of the sculpt, I like them, but for the purpose of unboxing, for anyone that's interested in getting at least my kit is pretty clean. There's minimal issues. Let me see something. There's a bit of flash in this groove here, but I think it's that nice. It's not that hard flash. It's the thin flash that comes out pretty easily. Yeah. Cool. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time right now cleaning it, but yeah, comes out pretty nice. So overall, quality of the models pretty good. So yeah, Gillespie's a warport. There's not much to say about it. If you have an extra 4 points, if you haven't been oversaturated in irregulars, which of the models that we've seen in the box, the main box, there was 3 models, 2 different profiles that were irregular. We expect that the stingers will be irregular, although Fireteam Master can deal with that, hopefully. So you might be tight on irregulars, but you can see. If you watch Rob Cantrell does a good video, he put a good video today where he talked about, the amount of irregulars you take can change if they're useful irregulars. If the classic example is the Monstrucker, where the Monstrucker could use his order to throw a drop bear. So even if you weren't converting the order, it's not like it was just an irregular sitting there doing nothing. So most of the irregulars that we have deployable weapons or have a reason to be using their orders. So I think we'll be good on that. Okay, here's the star of the show, the Juggernaut. Does not look like the Juggernaut I've been playing against in MCP lately. We've got another bio-organic or techno-organic model. It is a dude riding a beastie, and this is your tag for the next wave, and it is very interesting. I'm going to look at the model first, and then we can talk about it. Okay. It's actually quite hefty. I was expecting it to feel quite light, because I believe he's supposed to be Unicool. And he is. It's just big old chunks of Unicool. That's where the heft came in. So the base. Look at that. Look at that just chunk of Unicool. That is hefty. So this is, oh, there we go. So this is what you mount him on. This is his rock. Actually, it's pretty clean. Nice. Oh, the back is really nice. The rock detail on the back is nice. Here there's less, but I expect it's because the body is either obscuring it or is partially touching it. But that detailing on the back is clean. I'm not seeing any real cleanup. I think there's just the only cleanup I'm seeing is that there's a little nub here at the top, but that doesn't even really fit on the it just barely fits on the base. Wow. So this is why. So I'm been thinking about how to base my models. You saw my ALF. My plan is to do an alternate. I had the brown armor for my phalanx with like the purple cloth, purple accents. I'm gonna flip it. One, because then Achilles will blend in. But they have more of a techno base. But because of this giant rock on this model that I want to use a lot, I'm probably gonna do more of a earthy base. But maybe I'll reverse the base colors too. So let's see. The actual big boy himself. Okay, so got a nice chunky torso. Looking at it, that is. I'm always amazed. I keep saying it, but I am very impressed with Unicool. Like, look how clean, like all that. I don't know, cabling or whatever it's supposed to be. I could so easily just have like something off, and then you just need to deal with it. His underside has that classic combined army braided cloth. Now this is one thing I love this model. There's one thing I'm a bit disappointed about, which is you'll see the rider, his bottom half is actually molded onto the body of the beast. I'm someone that generally paints my like motorcycle riders off of their mounts just because I find it easier, which you can't really do here. So it is what it is. Still looks good. That's what really matters. We've got the rider slots nicely right in there. Oop. What is that? Okay. Again, we're here for the beast, not the rider. So let's look at these. We got these cool arms with the armoring, little sci-fi hexes. This is just to make sure the beast was sci-fi enough. We got the nice cyberpunk hexes. So. And this just slots into that. Look at this, the big old plug right there. Got the same thing on the other side. Just so you don't mix them up, this side is like the Superman symbol. The little diamond, Superman diamond. So you don't mix up which arm goes where. They will take this back. Those should just slot nicely. Yeah, slot nicely into there. Look at that. That's such a cool model. Wow. Actually having it in my hands, it is way more impressive in person. And then we get back leg with not hexes. We got little diamonds there. And then that should just slot in like so. We've got another leg. This is a nice thing about the Unicool. Like it almost comes pre-cleaned. It's not like there's a bit of cleanup you'll do, but compared to the metal, look at that. The other ones I could kind of show and hold for you. This guy, I'm pretty much just pressure assembling him right now. And he's got his tail. Which way does his tail go? I think it's like so, like that. There we go. Oh, the tail's not going to stay by gravity. But tail just slots in like that. And then we've got The rider has this cool sword. Uh, See, there's a bit of problem with thin unicool weapons. There's usually that bend, but for those that don't know already, if you do get something like that, oh wow, look at that. Okay. He's actually mostly staying together just by pressure on my desk. And collapse. For those who don't know, if you do end up having, oh yeah, see, one of the legs has the machine gun, and actually you'll see, yeah, it's the same. See, there's a bit of the droop in the gun barrel. So if you have something like that, or like the sword, all you need to do, get a bowl of very hot or boiling water, put it in there until it gets kind of bendy, and then the sword, you'll take it like this. It'll be bendy, so you can straighten it, and you go into a bowl of cold water and go put it in there, and that'll straighten it all out for you. If you're like me, I have a heat gun, just because my mom didn't need it anymore and for embossing things. So I have a heat gun, works the same way. Just warm it up however you want to warm it up, put it into cold water, and you can lock it into whatever position you put it in. Okay, so before we call it for the day, we're just going to quickly talk about the attacker profile. So, really cool model, very interesting, cool profile. So, this is a tag that moves 8-2, which is in base numbers the same as 6-4, but when it comes to actually shooting, 8-2 is better, right? You can get into position. You only use that second version if you're moving, and ideally you're not moving, you're move shooting. So 8-2, very fast. CC22, which has a reason for that, and we'll see in a little bit. BS14, so I'd say bare minimum tag. There are those BS13 tags, but pretty much the baseline of tags. But good BS, so it's a good gunfighter. Got ARM 8, BTS 6, so it's a main battle tag, size 7. So what makes this guy really cool and unique is the skill. So he's CC tag plus burst, and he has guard. So that means this guy, he doesn't want to fight an actual CC guy, but up close he just gives you awful choices because I have guard. Do you CC? No, you're not going to CC. Cool. If you CC me, I shoot you, and now you can't do anything. You dodge or shoot. Okay, well now I have a burst 2 attack at CC 22, and it's a PS4 DA close combat, so it hits hard. On top of that, he's got tackware, which isn't a given for tags anymore, so it is nice that he has it. He has climbing plus. So anyone that knows me or has heard me talk about the Zeta, love the Zeta. Climbing plus on a big S7 tag is really nice to have. It really lets you climb up buildings, get those cheeky sight lines, and just do plunging fire down into your opponents. Many times people have not realized, oh, that their lieutenant that they put safe tucked away on a roof. Well, when the size 7 tag goes up on the roof, now suddenly I can see you, and that lieutenant dies. So that's always nice to have. It is more expensive than Zeta, but you get that nice variety with the close combat to kind of meld that. Their stall drone, their remote that can pop out is actually pretty decent. It has mimetism and climbing plus and whip 13. So hey, little specialist bot that can jump out, maybe go grab something and say supplies, run away, right? Hide on a roof because climbing plus. So you have 3 profiles for the Juggernaut. You have 2 multi-HMG profiles. You have the Lieutenant, who's the cheapest, and then CO, who's slightly more. So these are, if you want to be running this like a big main battle tag, kind of like a Zeta, but with an HMG instead of an HRMC, this is what you're going to take. It's a big gun, good shooter. If someone gets close, maybe you CC them, do those annoying branching arrows. Then there's a third profile, which I find very interesting. I think overall it maybe it isn't the best. I think you really only will take this if you think you have hacking superiority. So if maybe you're bringing Pandora and Bit and Kiss. But so what is the profile? It's a plus burst plasma rifle and a heavy rocket launcher. So that makes it a burst 4 plasma rifle that is SR -1. So both the ARM and the BTS saves are at are one worse. That's a whole lot of big template gun coming right at you, and this guy's fast. There's a decent chance you can probably run up, maybe not into the enemy deployment, but from your deployment zone to like the midfield where the objectives usually are, and people are probably scrapping. So I can just get right up in there and just start blasting away with all that plasma. Uh, I'm a big plasma enjoyer, so between templates and multiple saves of ARM and BTS, so if you're good at one, usually you're not necessarily the best at the other. It's really handy to have, and then it has that nice heavy rocket launcher. It's normal only 2 burst heavy rocket launcher is not great, but it can help the Juggernaut maybe close the distance if there's something that pops up that's long range. It means now you have a +3 band from 0 to 32 inches between the plasma and the HRL. So I think it's very interesting. I'm probably going to play that profile just because I think even if it's not the best, I think it's more fun. But that is everything in the box. I was very impressed with the quality of the models. Do look for, we're going to be putting out more videos really diving into the faction. I think we're going to try and wait to do our big faction review on Whip 12 until after we actually have the army in army, where we've seen those other profiles and it's less the speculation we're doing today. But I'm going to be assembling these guys up, posting some videos and images of them getting shot up, or painted up, not shot up. And yeah, I might even try and get a battle report recorded with some locals in the coming weeks, get that up, and yeah, it's very exciting. New sectorial. It's been a while since we got a new sectorial, not just a revamp of the sectorial, and this one's pretty cool. I am always in favor of more organic beasts in my sci-fi, so I'm excited. Comment below, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But yeah, please let us know what you think of the next wave. Are you excited? Are you gonna get it? Are you afraid of certain profiles? Let us know. And as always, have a good day. And this has been a video that will eventually be on the Whip 12 YouTube. But for now, it's here.